Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Force here with some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today we will be looking at a game between Diffe and Strelok. Diffe, I think I'm just going to go with Diffe. Never heard of him before, and Diffe sounds good to me. So this is going to be a Terran versus Protoss, Strelok versus Diffe here on the map, ESL's Cloud Kingdom. And of course, spawning over here in the lower left-hand spawn position is our blue Terran player, FXO Strelok, and his opponent, of whose name I cannot properly pronounce, is our green Protoss player in the upper right-hand spawn position of Cloud Kingdom, and it is Mr. Diffe. I don't have information this game for these players. I didn't actually do that tournament info like I typically have been doing. What I can tell you is that Strelok, as far as I'm aware, is a Grandmaster, and his opponent Diffe is a Masters player. Now that isn't necessarily indicative to the outcome of this game, but just thought I would throw that out there. I do believe that that information is correct. Please, though, feel free to let me know in the comments below in a non-raging and constructive manner if I am incorrect. We will be seeing Strelok go with that frontal wall off, as we do have the supply depot placed out front there of the ramp into the main base, and there's the barracks as well. We will next be keeping an eye to see if he decides to follow this up here with a refinery, or if he will be going for a 1 racks into expand build. And there you go, my question has been answered. Strelok going with that 13 refinery, so getting some early gas, allowing him to tech up in the early stage of the game rather than going for that quick expansion with marines and bunkers for defense. We will be seeing a scout come out here for Diffe, and he will be able to make it into the main base, as Strelok will not have that wall off complete by the time it makes it over there. Back over here for Diffe, no gas yet. He's gonna go for a quick nexus here. Look at that. So we're gonna see a very quick expansion here from our Protoss player Diffe. Now he is in the main base scouting out. He has spotted that refinery. Is that gonna make him change his mind and drop a gas, or no? No, he's not. He's just gonna be coming down with that nexus now. So this is a little bit risky here, as he's very low in tech early in the game. You can see, of course, the Cybernetics core is not building yet, that now that he has devoted so many resources to this nexus, as well as that second pylon there. So still no assimilator, still no cybercore. Assimilator finally coming out. Cybercore will be next, but again, as stated, very delayed tech here. So Strelok still on one base, scouting out right now. Here comes a factory, so he's going to be spotting all this. He's going to spot the expansion. Now he's going to be moving into the main, and he's going to spot the fact that that cybercore has just been placed down. This is a lot of really telling information for him, and of course what this tells him is that there's not going to be much defense at all for my Protoss player Diffe in the early stage of the game, and this could allow Strelok to be very aggressive and have that aggression be incredibly effective. Does not have to worry about much at all. So with little defense here, this is the risk that you run with going for a quick expansion. This is exactly the risk that Diffe is currently having to deal with. Now he does have a Zealot just about finished. The problem with the Zealot is it's not going to deal well if we're going to see Hellions out of here. Where is he going to go? There's a tech lab. Alright, so going to be dropping a tech lab there on the factory. Now of course Blue Flame Hellions are possible, but what I'm going to assume is that this is going to be used for a hot swap for Banshees. However, assumptions, they are never good, so we'll have to see if he decides to go for something else. Diffe, now with his Nexus finished, will be working to saturate that. Does have a second gateway coming through. We'll be also chrono boosting out that warp gate research. And we do have the, yep, it is, there it is. So the hot swap is taking place right now. Starport will finish, will be placed on that tech lab, and that will allow for the production of Banshees. Now once more, Diffe, very delayed tech, and that is of course going to mean he's going to have a delayed robotics, and with the delayed robotics, he's got a delayed observer. Now that is a major issue, because of the fact that we have cloaked Banshees coming out. Cloak research now coming through. First Banshee in production as well. So hopefully for Diffe, we see a robotics get placed down soon, or else he is going to be in a heap load of trouble once that first Banshee and that cloak research finishes, and that Banshees are in this base. Now, probably going to expect to see at least one more Banshee, at the very least 2 is what we expect to see, given that you're dumping so many resources into getting this cloak. Robotics facility now just started. Strelok also moving to an expansion here. Now we still haven't seen a lot from either player right now in terms of pressure or aggression. Obviously, we do know that Strelok has stuff in the works, and I don't know, actually, Diffe may be all set. Robotics halfway finished. Problem is that we're gonna have to wait the time for this Banshee to first get over there, but then of course for that cloak research also finish. Now it does look like that cloak will finish by the time the Banshee makes it on over towards Diffe's natural expansion. But also, at about that time, we will see that observer. So actually, Diffe might be all set here. Looks like he does have the timing down pretty well. So he should be okay as long as he gets those stalkers into position and gets that first observer out. Yeah, not too much damage going to happen here. You never know, though. Let's see what Strelok can do. Moves in. Cloak is engaged. Second Banshee also just about finished. He's going to do as much damage as possible before that first observer comes through, which will be in just a moment here. Ooh, actually just pulling back. Wow. Did he place a scan? No, he didn't scan, so he doesn't even know that that's there. I guess he's just assuming, hey, now is the timing that an observer would be coming out. And look at that, completely bypassing the observer here at the natural expansion, now going straight for the main. Now he's going to have to deal with this. 2 stalkers, second observer. Oh, take a couple shots, forcing him back. A few more shots, is able to pull away into safety. Now the second Banshee over here, however, we do still have this anti-air and the stalkers and sentry plus that other observer, so he is a-okay here. There it is. So now Strelok knows, all right, there are 2 observers in play, one of them covering either position, so really not too much else I can do with these Banshees, so he's just going to be forced back. Now we're going to see a free Zealot kill here. But then besides that, these Banshees won't be doing much else until we see a second push from Strelok. We do have masses of Marines coming through there, reactored barracks. At least he has the ability to do so. I'm not actually coming out with much of that yet. 2 more racks getting placed down. Siege tanks also coming out. Siege tech is complete. Transitioning as well into a Raven here. Some Marines, tank, and a Raven. Now no upgrades for the Marine. As you can see, there are no tech labs on any barracks at the moment, at least. We do also have a third orbital command. This is going to give Strelok a very strong economy, allow him to saturate this natural very, very heavily here. And get full saturation at both bases as quickly as possible. Now, it does look like Diffe is preparing to push out, and as such, we're going to see Strelok move in with a counterattack here. And he's got both those Banshees. He's really concerned about 2 of the Stalkers, though, so... 1 proxy pylon on the high ground above the Xel'Naga Tower. Second proxy pylon a little bit closer here to Strelok's base. Strelok has a nice, solid siege line, though. It's going to be something that is very difficult for Diffe to break, especially since he doesn't have... Okay, he does have immortals. There's that one immortal there. Where's the second one, though? The second one somewhere. There it is. So second immortal now pulling forward, getting ready to join the fun. 2 Banshees coming back to defend here for Strelok. Taking a quick look at the player vision. Want to make sure there's nothing else funny going on. Banshee's going to start trying to pick down this pylon. He will be forced back. There is an observer there with a main force. Stim pack research and combat shield now coming through. Both of these. Continue up that double Marine production there. Also getting a reactor here on the starport, allowing him to go with double medevacs. Now again, he's got the siege tanks. He's got the Raven. Raven, of course, is great for that point defense drone, although he can't quite afford it. A little bit low there on the energy, just needs a bit more, and that's going to help cut back on that stalker damage dramatically. Also coming out with the factory. Now this is great because this makes it so that when the push comes forward and the Zealots have to run into this wall, deal with the siege line plus the Banshee fire, it's going to be a problem there for Diffe. I don't see Diffe breaking this at all, to be honest with you. That is such an incredible front wall there for Strelok. With that support of just the 3 siege tanks, that is enough splash damage to be incredibly threatening. And all of that is enough to force Diffe back home. Kaboom, baby! Kaboom, baby, indeed. A little bit of repair action going down on these Banshees. Medevacs now finally coming through as Strelok makes his transition into bio-heavy plus the Medevacs. Third base now for Diffe. About halfway complete. Now again, we do have that orbital command here for Strelok, so he could place down his third at any point now. He is pretty heavily saturated, a little bit oversaturated, more than a little bit. He's actually very oversaturated, but this is going to be great now that he's lifting off this orbital command and moving it down into third position. He's going to just transfer on over a ton of these SCVs from the main and the natural and get some nice solid saturation running on 3 bases. And he'll actually have that up and running just a wee bit before Diffe here. Now in taking that third, he is also going to be moving out right now. At the very least, expect him to grab this tower, see what's going on. We might see a push from him too as well. Now back over here for Diffe, he is coming out with that charge upgrade. That seems a wee bit late here. Just now coming out with the charge upgrade, also coming out with the armor upgrade. No armor or weapons yet, but going with armor first. There's a forward scan from Strelok, spots the unit composition and positioning there of Diffe's army. Factory scout continuing to move forward. We're going to see an engagement just one moment. Tank setting up on the high ground. Oh, Diffe pulling forward. There's a Guardian Shield. Stimming up the bio. Now the Zealots are able to get up nice and close and do a bit of damage. Immortals going straight for the tanks. Still a bit of bio left. Plus, we do have these Banshees here. Continue to do some damage. Observer coming up, allowing him to take out the Cloak Banshees, and that is it. Diffe mops it up. Now we do have some bio moving into the natural expansion over here. Strelok will be forcing Diffe's probes back. Now, how is Diffe going to respond? That's the question, because he actually has bio streaming towards his natural expansion right now. Strelok finally pulling back with some of that. He's going to do a bit of damage here, though. Takes out the Nexus. Ouch. That is not good for Diffe. Diffe is not counterattacking either. He has decided to pull back to defend, which I don't think he needed to do. I think this force should have been used for a counterattack. Oh, I think he completely botched the use of this force, which he had just a moment ago right here, very close towards the natural expansion of Strelok. And had he pushed at that point, as you can see back home, with the units he was able to warp in, he was able to defend. So he didn't even need these guys. They pulled back, and by the time they even got there, there wasn't anything for them to do. It's a real big issue, to be perfectly honest with you. I think once more, had Diffe just gone straight for the counterattack, that could have been a much different situation, and Diffe wouldn't be as far behind as he is right now. Taking a look at the resources lost, you can see he's far behind. Obviously, he's also behind because he did lose that Nexus. He's still planning to mount up a counterattack, but once more, I am concerned with that decision-making with his army. I think that he would have done so much damage. Just Strelok had so little to defend at that point. All right, here we go. Now Strelok moving out. He does have that Raven filled with energy, enough for 2-point defense drones, which are pretty much going to make those Stalkers useless for a short while. There it is, double-point defense drone. Bile stimming up and pulling back. Also spreading out a little bit. Yeah, and Diffe, realizing he can't engage air with those 2 PDDs, decides to just pull back. Now, Strelok is going to continue to pursue. He's got a lot of medevacs right now. This is going to allow for some pretty continuous stim action for his bio, and he is now whittling down the forces of Diffe, and that's it. Mopped up everything in the center of the map. Strelok takes the game. Alright, my friends, that's the game here between Strelok and Diffe. Unfortunately for Diffe, you know, we saw him win that engagement in the center of the map, and then Strelok pushed out with a small counterattack, was able to take out his natural expansion, and actually forced Diffe all the way back home with the forces that he had in the center. I think had Diffe counterattacked at that point, it could have been a much different game. Either way, though, great game. Congratulations to Strelok, and thank you guys for watching. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Also, check out the website. Keep watching, keep owning.